Coming up next on Authentic Stories by Sue Maud. Everyone has a story to tell. Stay tuned and let's talk about it. Jusnah and Samantha are two young ladies based in London, having an amazing authentic story, which teaches us all that success does not come without failure, and that losing is not final, but instead it represents the opportunity to try again with more knowledge than you had last time, and that our greatest weakness lies in giving up. Jusnah and Samantha are a living proof that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success, and that the most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. Jusnah and Samantha, welcome to Copenhagen. I can tell you girls, I am so thrilled. I acknowledge you, I honor you, and I respect both of you for traveling all the way from London to Copenhagen to come and share your authentic story with us and with the rest of the world, especially the youth and of course everyone else who can resonate to your story. You have a restaurant called the Hot and Juicy Shrimp in London. It is the talk of the town in London. It's amazing, it's so successful. But before we embark on the Hot and Juicy Shrimp, could you please tell us something about yourselves, your educations, your backgrounds, and so on?
I'll start. Thank you so much for having us. This is so exciting. My background is law, so I did a law degree, I did an LPC, and that was kind of like sort of my journey. So the food, entrepreneurship, the food industry is not something that was a part of my plan, but it happened. So I'd say that that's like sort of my academic background. As far as entrepreneurship, obviously we've got Hot and Juicy Shrimp London together. I also have another business which is more on like the legal kind of like side, which is a music business called Young Music Boss. And yeah, that's sort of my background.
And what do you do with the profession that you studied? You did law.
I specialised in intellectual property law, which is kind of the expertise that I exercise through my company, Young Music Boss. But as far as my corporate job, I'm a compliance executive. So I do apply some components of it, but I'm not practicing as a lawyer in that respect, my daily 9-to-5 job.
Okay, so what exactly do you do as for the corporate part of it, technically?
So I'm a compliance executive and I work for a sports and entertainment company. So we deal with just applying the kind of like regulatory and risk aspect of our sports and entertainment business.
Okay, yeah, that sounds very interesting, definitely. Yes, Samantha?
I studied forensic science at university, forensic science and investigative analysis. But my journey in terms of entrepreneurship started from quite young. So from about 18, I've been on this journey, so that's about 12 years now. Aside from Hot and Juicy Shrimp, which we started 2 years ago, I also own another company called Yoni Divinity, which is a holistic feminine wellness brand. That's that, and Hot and Juicy. Well, entrepreneurship is what I do full time.
Okay, so you have this education, right? The forensic medicine. Have you ever used that in a professional way?
No.
Okay, when did you complete your degree?
I completed my degree 9 years ago, but I did work in a chemicals company after that, doing supply chain coordinating like around the world. But throughout my journey in terms of full-time employment, I've always had a business. So I've had multiple businesses leading up to this point, and then now Hot and Juicy is what made sense, and then obviously my passion project, which is Yoni Divinity.
So let's go back to the Hot and Juicy Shrimp. What exactly motivated the two of you to start the Hot and Juicy Shrimp?
We first tried seafood boils in America when we were on holiday and it was amazing. But at that point, the idea of bringing it to the UK wasn't, it tasted good and we came back. And then I believe it was like a year or so later, I saw snow crabs in London. And I was like, oh my God, Jusnah, this is what we had in America. And then we tried out seafood boils within the UK, and we realised that it didn't taste the same. And so from there, it was like, okay, we can, remake this. So I tried out different recipes, and then I told Jusnah, let's do this.
Yeah, we've got like kind of like slightly different version of events in that respect, but it is basically what she explained. So that's it's not an idea that we ever thought of, or that I ever thought of. So it was kind of like we tried a seafood boil in the UK, and it was like absolutely horrible. Like, it wasn't, she put it very politically correct in saying that, it just didn't taste the same. No, it was actually disgusting. And then I think a week or so later, Samantha was like, oh, you know what? Because she'd started, I guess, testing different recipes or trying to kind of recreate that taste. And she was like, we could do this. I completely dismissed the idea. I was completely uninterested. I was kind of like, what are you even talking about? Like, I'm not, like, I don't do food.
Yeah.
And then...
and I was like, well, I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah. It's not even like she said that she's doing it anyway. She just started doing it, and she was started kind of like, developing it, a logo, making it sort of something tangible. And when I saw her kind of like going through that process, I started realizing that actually this might be something that is actually viable. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, you know what, I'm actually going to jump on board and let's actually do it. But even at that stage, for me anyway, it wasn't even a thing of where I had imagined this thing where we're going to build this incredible business. It was kind of like, okay, this is an opportunity to make some money, and it will allow us to do something on the side that will fund our other projects. Because as she mentioned, she's had other businesses on the side already. I had another business, and I was like, okay, actually this is a cash injection for me, and I can use this to actually fund my other projects. And then it just grew, like it just literally just blew overnight. And that's when we had to kind of figure out how to scale and how to do it properly.
So where exactly did you start?
We started in our individual kitchens. So Jusnah started in her kitchen in Angel, and I was in my kitchen in Woodford. So I'm in East and she's in North. So we used to advertise that, you can collect from North or East London. So that is how it started.
Okay, so that was on a small scale, sort of trying to test as to whether this will work.
Yeah. And it started obviously in our own private kitchen, but you have to remember that at this point, we are just winging it. We know nothing about food safety. We know nothing about, the licenses that we need. We know nothing about the legalities of the food industry. And like I said, we didn't imagine for it to grow to the extent that it grew. So it came to a point very quickly, actually, within the first 3 months of trading, where it was actually unsustainable for us to do it in our own personal kitchens safely anyway, and also to fulfill the volumes of the orders that we were getting. And we have so many nightmare stories and so many moments where we were like, what have we gotten ourselves into?
It's like after each game open, we call it, or even during we call it a shift, we'd call each other and be like, okay, I'm having a breakdown now. She'd be like, I'm having one too. And then Jusnah will be like, I've run out of corn, I have to run. And I remember that day she had to run to the chicken shop to buy the corn that they had. And she had customers waiting outside.
So imagine being in the kitchen. So at this stage, obviously we didn't have a team. Of course, we're just working from our kitchen, but our volumes are growing and growing and growing. So we're doing everything. We're doing the customer contact, we're doing the cooking, we're doing the packing, we're doing the fulfillment, we're dealing with the requests, we're doing the admin. everything literally in that kitchen. So there were many moments where we literally almost break down, and there was moments where I would call Samantha, like, Samantha, what is it that you came and brought into my life? Because I've had enough. And like, yeah, there's so many stories. There's moments where you run out of ingredients and you're like,
prawns.
oh my God, there's queues of customers out, and I'm literally running up and down the street trying to find the ingredients, trying to come back, making sure I can prepare the meals and get them out. Like, so many horror stories.
And imagine, this is from working. So at this point I was working had a government job. So this is from working in the office Monday to Friday in a corporate setting, and then on the weekend you've got on your apron and you're cleaning crab and prawns.
Yeah, that sounds like it was really tough. But how did you get the orders, and how did you advertise it?
We advertised on Instagram, and what we would do is we would work with like influential people, so that's artists, social media influencers, comedians, and basically we would give them the food, they'd take a picture eating it, and then we'd get orders. So it literally was just moving like that. And at the time when we started, it was quite new in London, so there was probably about only 2 other seafood boil restaurants. So it was, you know, it was a new thing, it was a trend, it was exciting. It still is, we're still keeping the trend going. But that, you know, so the influx was crazy. Like, we thought, okay, we'll just sell maybe 10 bags a weekend. And then we'd get like Paigey Cakey, who's influential in London, and she would advertise eating it, and then, wow, now we've got 50 orders.
Yeah.
And then we'd get like ZZ Mills to eat it, and then we've got 100 orders. Yeah.
So a lot of it was through influencer marketing. So like connecting those dots, getting influential people to kind of like have the word out, and obviously they have a following who want to do what they do, who want to eat what they eat. So that kind of like helped a lot. And also it's because I feel like we were really at the start of the boom. We were really one of the first at the start of the boom. Which kind of like helped it, because it was kind of niche. There was a demand for it, because of course in this social media world where you have, you know, YouTube, and people are doing different challenges on YouTube, and you had a lot of like the mukbang and Cajun culture was really growing on YouTube at that time, which is a phenomenon that kind of comes from like America. But now people in the UK are catching wind of it, because obviously through social media, through YouTube, but there weren't a lot of places that were actually providing those meals. So I think that helped a lot, and also just because our food tastes good.
Yeah, exactly.
It actually tastes good, so the word of mouth kind of like spreads.
Exactly, and that's why people are amazingly impressed. What about the buying of the products? Do you buy them yourselves? Do you go out to the market and buy them yourself?
We used to. So we used to have to actually go with our car, with the car. My old car used to stink of rotting crab. It was so, like, it didn't matter how many times I valeted the car, rubbed lemons on the seat, vinegar, Dettol, the smell didn't go. Thank God I've got rid of that car now. But now everything comes to us. So on like a Tuesday, Thursday, place the order for, you know, the vegetables, the butter, the cleaning products. And it arrives the next day. Then on a Saturday, Wednesday morning, Saturday morning, we place the order for the fish. It gets delivered to us. And then we've got like the other products like Scotch bonnets and garlic that gets delivered. Everything gets delivered to us now.
What exactly do you use? What products? I know you use the lobster tails, right? From the Caribbean islands.
Yeah.
You use king prawns as well?
Yes.
And you use snow crab from Norway, actually, from the Scandinavian. Talk about the Scandinavians, right? That's
king crab.
And the king crab, okay. So you,
Huge crab.
yeah, okay. Do you mix these things together? But rather, another question, how do you make your hot and juicy shrimp?
It's a secret.
Well, we don't mix we have different combination options, so it depends on what the order is or what the combo is. That would dictate what the order contains. But as far as our sauce, top secret.
It's top secret. You're not going to reveal how you do your food. Okay, I can tell you guys how my mom used to make prawns and lobsters for us.
Okay.
This is many, many years ago when I was about like 8 years old, 10 years old. I remember my mom used to make wonderful prawns and lobster. What she did was she used a lot of spices from Tanzania and she used coconut milk. I can tell you guys, it tasted wonderful. That's how she made it. But unfortunately, when I was about like 12 years old, I developed an allergy for prawns and shrimps and lobsters. So I can't eat that anymore. So unfortunately, I won't be able to taste your food.
Should I tell you something,
Yeah?
something interesting? Actually, you know how I mentioned that I haven't been to Denmark as an adult? I came to Denmark as a child. I also, funnily enough, developed an allergy to prawns, and I was diagnosed in Denmark.
Really?
Yeah, and then I stopped eating it for a bit, and I definitely think it was a misdiagnosis because I used to love prawns. So I kept sneaking prawns and just kind of like being ready to deal with the consequences. And it used to affect, but then it hasn't affected me since. I think it was a misdiagnosis.
Wow. I've tried. I can tell you I've tried, but it doesn't work. I get sick immediately. My body just reacts. Yeah, unfortunately. So it means when I come to London, I'll come to your restaurant, but I can't taste the food.
We have a vegetarian boil.
Oh, you do? Okay, then I'll try that one out. Absolutely. So how did the two of you get to know each other?
We went to neighbouring schools. Which is in Barnet. Well, her school was in like Hadley Wood. And yeah, we kind of just met sort of mingling at the bus stops and on buses and mutual friends from between other schools as well. And then that's really how we became acquainted.
So you've known each other for so many years. Wow, that's amazing. Now, tell me something, girls. I understand that in this journey of yours in the hot and juicy shrimp, there has been 3 stages. There has been the rise, there's been the fall, whereby it didn't go so well, and it made a major comeback. Can you tell us something about this?
I think the rise and the fall I think it's the graph would be like this. Our first fall was when there was a protest.
Yeah, there was a protest.
Okay.
So there was a protest at the fishmongers at the fish market. We usually get our fish from at the time.
Where you get your fish.
Yes.
Okay.
So we couldn't access the crab that we would usually use. So we had to source live spider crabs, which were huge, like probably this big. And I think that was the first fall, because then that's when we realized, okay, we need a backup fish supplier. So we learned from that. And then the next fall, I believe, was when we entered the commercial kitchens. So obviously, as you can imagine, we've moved from our private home kitchens with our small ovens, and we've moved to a commercial setting with industrial size ovens. And where we had our recipe we used at home, we now came into this setting, and about 98% of our orders that day were just...
Yeah, like it resulted in complaints. I wouldn't even say that was necessarily a fall. I would say that was like an obstacle that we kind of like had to overcome. It was a challenge that we weren't prepared for and we didn't anticipate. Because like Samantha said, that obviously from being in our own private kind of kitchen, which is sort of small scale and we're not using commercial like industrial equipment, we didn't anticipate that moving into an environment that is now, like commercial and industrial, that we would have to adapt to serve the volumes that we were going to serve, but also to adapt our recipes and our processes to meet the requirements of, the new kind of like industrial scale equipments that we were now using. So our first week opening in the commercial kitchen was an absolute disaster. Like that whole service resulted in, I would say, almost like 98 to 99% of complaints. People were not happy. Customers were completely dissatisfied. And, like I said, we had to adapt our processes. We had to adapt our recipe to now meet the level of fulfillment we were doing, and also the equipment that we were using. So that was a huge like learning curve. But like I said, I wouldn't say that it was a fall, but it was a challenge, and we rose to the challenge. I mean, we went back to the drawing board. I feel like we could have quit at that stage, because we were like, how do we come back from this? Like, the whole of London is talking about how absolutely terrible, you know, it was. And but what we did is we didn't give up, and we went back to the drawing board. We had a focus group. We invited back all of those customers who were dissatisfied. We sat them down and we let them criticize us, and we said, look, what do we need to change? We are ready to listen, and we're ready to make those changes. And we managed to convert them, and some of them are now like our most loyal customers and our biggest ambassadors. And we were able to go go through that challenge and learn from it. And I think that is like an ongoing theme for us.
Okay, so how did you solve that problem?
So we basically drew out a plan of the kitchen. We had designated stations for different parts of the process. We also looked at the recipe. You know, we developed the recipe, so that's when we started actually really creating our sauce, which is what we're well known for now. And yeah, it was mainly with that, and also the ordering process. So at that point, I believe we were manually inputting.
Still taking.
So customers would manually order through Instagram DMs, and we'd manually input it into a spreadsheet. So we then started looking at, okay, is there any softwares that customers can just place the order on and it just comes through to the kitchen? So then a website was found that customers could place their orders on. And at that point, we were still having to manually print. So we'd have to print out an A4 sheet, or no, we were still writing it out.
Really?
So we were writing it out. But obviously that has since grown from there. But there were just those little changes, like we had to go back and really look at everything that went wrong and how we could fix it to do better. And I know that is why we are where we are, because when people criticize or when things go wrong, we really look for a solution to improve it. And we're constantly improving and constantly growing. We've changed our ordering system about 3 or 4 times since we started, even though obviously it costs, but it's making the customer journey better.
So you don't take the critiques negatively, and that's a great thing, because if you need to grow, you have to take the critiques seriously and do something about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many locations do you have in London of the hot and juicy shrimp?
So we have one location in North London, Wood Green, which is our newest location. It's been open for a month now, 6 weeks now. And then we have our first location, which is in Bethnal Green, East London.
That is so amazing what you two have done. I can tell you I am impressed, amazingly impressed by what you've done.
It's extremely hectic and extremely busy. There's some weekends where we have over 200 customers. Hi, Hot and Juicy, please just speaking. Who's speaking, please? Hello? Okay. I got a ghost caller. When we have loads of orders, it's like so hectic, and it can just get so busy and overwhelming and tiring. It can go from it being crazy to just like smooth sailing.
Yeah, Hot and Juicy was my first job. My sister got it from my Instagram page, and ever since then it's just been up, I guess. I'm grateful that Hot and Juicy took me on and gave me a chance, and yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Customer service going out the window everywhere else. So like, you guys are the only ones who's keeping that community vibe.
Thank you so much. Enjoy.
Yeah, no, they're really friendly, they're very attentive, and they're really quick. I'm not gonna lie, food comes out quick.
And what about your bosses?
They're amazing. I love them all. They're very understanding, considerate. Yeah.
Look at that. I'm saying it's just like, ooh, ah. I want freak out every week, girl. Oh, no. It's too much. It's too much.
You know what? I feel like the shrimp are my favorite because I feel like it's really satisfying, like unwrapping it like a little gift. And because there's like so many, I feel like it lasts longer than just like the one big lobster tail.
So I think my favourite combo, I usually add extras actually. So I usually go for the shrimp first, and then I add the extra large prawns, a lobster tail, I'm greedy, and I also go for a side of the mac and cheese because it's so good.
Spicy. Like exactly how it is, buttery like this, garlicky, chili. Nice. Like, I've had seafood like around England on the coast and stuff. When it's cold, it's not nice. You know, like I'm not down for the cold fish, but like when it's like this warm with the butter and stuff, can't beat it.
How would I rate the food? You literally can't get the flavour profile of hot and juicy anywhere else. It is probably one of the most incredible things I've eaten. It's proper southern, proper classic, but it's got a fiery edge.
In order to run a successful kitchen and successful business, there needs to be some form of understanding. So obviously you had to get along with your team. So yeah, we get along sometimes.
Every week is a new week, and I feel like I learn a lot of beneficial things from being at the kitchen.
One of the things that I've learned working at Hot and Juicy is that potatoes do not take 25 minutes to boil. Potatoes can take up to an hour. It's a fact.
Yeah, so I have been recommending and banging on about Hot and Juicy to all of my friends. I think I've seen about 4 or 5 of them travel, sometimes from an hour and a half away to come try it.
I'm like an ambassador now, just walking around, just preaching hot and juicy shrimp. Eat that dumb, we're great. Everyone, trust me, I've sent a few customers your way.
I've already told like so many friends to come here. I think quite a few like have started coming.
I have literally told everyone about hot and juicy shrimp because it is literally the best seafood boil in London. It's amazing. So yeah, 100% recommend it.
Yes, that is Hot and Juicy.
So can you tell me something? Because you guys are really busy. I mean, you have a lot to do. Can you tell me what's a typical day for you?
A typical day for me is I get up about 7:30. I lay around in my bed for a bit. I check my social media, I check my DMs, I check the Hot and Juicy social media, and then I get ready for my day, like literally go upstairs because my office is upstairs in my house. So I go upstairs, I prepare my computer, I check emails, and then I really get ready for the working day. And about 9 o'clock, no, about 8:30, I sort of log on, I check everything that needs to be done for the day, what my tasks will be for the day. And then I really get started. And then during around like lunchtime, between like 12 and sort of 2 o'clock, I check in with Samantha. I check in with the team at the office to see if there's anything that I need to do, or whether Samantha's messaged me saying, "Oh, we need a contract, oh, we need this," and then yeah, I do that, and then I connect with my team, obviously my Young Music Boss team, see what needs to be done for Young Music Boss for that day, and then I really continue on with the rest of my day, as in like my corporate job day. And then around 6 o'clock, 6:30, I log off. Sometimes it goes on for longer than that. And then I go downstairs to my personal computer for my personal business and, you know, check anything that needs to be done for Hot and Juicy or Young Music Boss.
So you're working from home, right?
Yeah.
You're employed, but you're working from home.
Yeah.
And this is because of the pandemic, right? Yeah. So that's a very busy day you have there.
Yeah. But I try and like I'm happy that I'm able to have that space and that separation. And actually it's Samantha who encouraged me to take that property, which I wasn't really, like I wasn't a huge fan because of the how it looked before I added my touches. But it's Samantha who kind of like encouraged me to take it because it was also through the period of the pandemic where she was like, because I was able to have that extra room and that extra space upstairs where I can separate my work life from like my personal life, even though it still doesn't happen that much. But it's like when I'm up there, I'm in my corporate world. When I'm downstairs, I'm working on my own personal businesses or, you know, my own personal life.
Yeah.
So my days have calmed down a lot. My days have calmed down a lot. Obviously, where I don't work full time anymore with like the office job I had. So a typical day for me is I'd wake up in the morning, I have my breakfast. I would check my emails. Any like supplier calls I need to make. So that's placing orders for the kitchen for delivery. So, you know, every Tuesday and Thursday, I place an order for delivery for the kitchen supplies. It would be briefing our PA on the day of anything that needs to be done. And then like creating content for the page and like also dealing with like customer queries and then like planning any future like events or anything like that we have going on. But like right now, because we've built an admin and a marketing team, my days have calmed down a lot. So it's not as full on and as hectic as it used to be.
Okay, so you have a marketing section and an admin section. And how many people do you have in those sections?
So there's 4 people in the team. There's the administrator, the like PA, who's also like our office manager. And then we have the administration assistant and then 2 marketing assistants.
Okay, so that's good. So that's made you sort of cool down.
Yeah.
But what are your criteria for employing people? Because one thing is education, the other thing is probably as a person.
Yeah.
What is it you look at when you're employing people?
One thing that we've actually committed to is giving opportunities to young people. So for a lot of people that work with us, maybe not in like a supervisory or management role, but a lot of people that work with us, it's actually their first job.
Okay.
So we take responsibility in terms of managing that and giving them and preparing them for the world of work and giving them the relevant skill sets when they do move on, because I feel like there's that gap between, you know, going to school and then entering the workforce, or going to school and going to college. That whole period from 16 to 18 where you get kind of like exposed to the real world, but you're not necessarily prepared with the relevant skill sets. So equipping them with the discipline of commitment, the discipline of punctuality, the discipline of having to take in new information and applying it.
Yes. That's great. That's great work for society you're doing actually indirectly, because you're creating jobs and you're actually giving these young people very good skills, right? To be able to move on into their lives, whatever they want to do in the future. Yeah. But do you plan to open the Hot and Juicy Shrimp in many parts of the world, or what is the next plan?
Definitely. I mean, well, in terms of like opening other locations, that's of course, scaling is always a part of our plan. And we hope in future to have a franchising model, which will allow, you know, locations around the world to be more done more expeditiously, but also it would mean that we don't have to manage the process. But what is part of our immediate plan is we are commercializing the sauce, so we're actually taking it to retail. So that is the most exciting, I think, near future plan in terms of expansion. Yeah.
Okay, so you literally want to commercialize the sauce so you can actually sort of export it
anywhere
to different
worldwide
places. So
shipping,
whenever anyone wants to cook your food, they just take the mixture and they're ready to go.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's really fantastic. Yeah. I tell you girls, you are so dynamic.
So that's coming sooner than you think.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
very soon.
So even in Denmark,
yeah,
they can order, you guys can order a pouch of our sauce.
Yes.
Cook your prawns, your shrimp. So cook your prawns, your lobster, potatoes, corn, and pour the sauce on, and you've got hot and juicy.
That's wonderful. So that means that I could use the sauce to actually with something else.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be chicken and fish.
I really like the sauce with rice and our sausages.
Oh, she loves that.
Really?
Yeah, and I add scotch bonnet. And yes,
so
you can have, like, some of our customers, they will keep the excess sauce they have and they will put it in pasta, with chicken, with meat.
That's amazing. Talking about success, after everything that you've said so far, I know that you are the founder and the CEO of the Young Music Box, whereby you advise business around the music industry. Can you tell us more about this?
So Young Music Boss is a resource hub, and it's a network building tool for music creatives, entrepreneurs, and people that want to work on like the executive, like legal and business affairs side of the music industry. So our motto is preparing future music bosses. So we do this through, we deliver a lot of physical resources as well as online resources. Of course, during the pandemic, we haven't been able to host some of our signature events physically, but we do a lot of stuff online through our virtual seminars and stuff like that. So really, we deliver the right resources to prepare people for entering the industry, also to make people aware that there's so many different professions that you can bring into the music industry. The music industry doesn't just end at the artist and the A&R. The music industry needs accountants, they need lawyers, they need economists. So it's kind of like opening up that door for young people wanting to enter the industry. And then we also have a consulting arm where we consult people entering the industry, whether it's artists or managers, in terms of the relevant relationships, the relevant business structures that they need to have entering the industry, and also contracts, the different types of agreements that exist within the industry, and how to be prepared for those big boardroom conversations and to be prepared for those key elements that will govern, the basis of your career. So at the moment, my focus is a lot on expanding, obviously, our educational resources, but also tapping into Africa. So I'm doing a lot in Tanzania right now, building the relevant networks. My focus at the moment is really figuring out how I can contribute to the industry in Tanzania, which is where I'm from, and expanding our business and continue to build our team in the UK.
Yes, that's very interesting. It's very powerful, but that must be very time consuming, Jusnah, isn't it?
It is, but I mean, I'm still a corporate slave at the moment, but that one of my main goals is being able to relinquish myself from that. Of course, I have like financial targets that I want to reach before I make that leap, but ultimately once I free myself from that, then of course I would open up a lot of time. And also as Hot and Juicy is developing and we're able to build administrative teams and stuff like that, and making it more self-functioning, I'll also have the freedom to be able to travel and being able to be on the ground, especially somewhere like Tanzania. And also I do have a team, so that makes it easier to manage as well. And that's what I meant initially when I spoke about being able to have additional finances to fund other projects, because the financial kind of like cushion that has come from the success of Hot and Juicy, as well as still having my corporate job, allows me to employ a team. So that means that I'm able to expand Young Music Boss at the same time as well, and I don't necessarily have to manage all aspects of it all the time.
Yeah, that's very powerful. But tell me something, with all the success the two of you have you ever stopped and said, wow, I did so great, Jusnah. I did so great, Samantha. Have you ever praised yourself for what you have achieved?
Yeah. I think me and Samantha, we are very flamboyant. we like to live a good life. So there's so many moments we're like, nah, we need a holiday. And then when we go, we pop bottles, we pop champagnes, we celebrate as hard as we work.
Really?
So yeah.
Wow.
Because do you know what? Because it's like a marathon. You're like, oh my God, wow.
Yeah.
We just did that. But because you're so focused on going, at the time you don't realize how much you've achieved until like other people point it out, or you can now go on this holiday and you can do 5 Nobu in Marbella, and it's like, we've done this. Yeah.
Yes. And that is very, very important that you praise yourselves once in a while, because I know a lot of people who are working so hard, they're so successful. They've also have obstacles. I mean, I've had obstacles in my life too. But they don't stop up and say, hey, just hang on a second, I've done so well, And that's very important. You go for a vacation and say, now we're going to have 5 days on a 5-star hotel, popping champagnes, because we take a break and we've done well.
Worked hard for it.
Exactly.
And what's the point if you can't enjoy the fruits of your labor?
Exactly.
I mean, of course, responsibly, but sometimes. I mean, of course, no, but what I mean by responsibly, as in don't go on holiday and not have your savings. Yeah. That's what I mean with responsibly. But for me, I like to live a good life, and I work hard, so I play hard as well.
And what's lucky as well is that where I don't work full time anymore, I can work anywhere in the world. So I went back home to Dominica for a month, and I was just working from there. And it's even things like that, it's wow, we're actually doing this.
You're actually doing it. And it's so much freedom, isn't it?
Yeah.
So much freedom of the individual.
Yeah.
You said you went to Dominique. Is that the Caribbean islands?
Yeah, so
okay, so you come originally from
Dominican, yeah.
Oh, I see.
So I went back home for a bit.
Okay, then that's wonderful. I have a very good friend in the Caribbean islands called Nick, but she's from Antigua.
I started my journey there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm planning to go to Antigua. She's invited me to Antigua. I've known her for 30 years, over 30 years, way back in the 80s. And she was in London for many, many years, and she decided to go on pension.
Oh, that's
yeah.
You should go, but Antigua to Dominica is only 30 minutes on the plane.
Okay.
And it's the most beautiful island in the Caribbean. It's the nature island, so it's just trees and tropical birds, and fruits and vegetables everywhere. I think you should spend a couple of days there.
Absolutely. I will do that. Yeah. So you say your mom is from the Dominican islands?
No, my mom's Nigerian.
Oh, your mom's Nigerian.
My dad's Dominican.
And your dad's okay then. Yes, I know you come from Tanzania. After all, I know your mom, right? Your mom was my best friend, still is my best friend, and will always occupy a very, very good place in my heart. Now, talking about your mom. Your mom died 6 years ago, Amina Zaharam Tengeti, who was my very, very dear and close friend. She will always occupy a very special place in my heart. And I know that she's watching us right now from above, and she is giving us all the blessings, and I know that she is so proud of you, that you have done so well. I can tell you, she is rejoicing in heaven and saying, wow, you've done a great job. In Kiswahili, we say, mtoto umleavyo, ndivo akuavyo. It means that the way you bring up a child is the way they're going to be, is the way they're going to turn out. And I believe in my heart of hearts, with the drive that your mom had, with the amazing energy that she had, she has created an amazing foundation for you. And that's why you are as dynamic as you are.
Yeah, I think definitely 100%. Like you said, my mum was so dynamic. She was always ahead. When the computers came out, my mum was there with her computer, learning how to work it, learning what is Hotmail, learning this. She was was very savvy
Yes.
with technology, and like you said, very entrepreneurial and very inquisitive. And I think that those are some of the traits that I got from her. Not so much with technology, but
Yes.
but other aspects of her definitely.
Yes, she was really great. She was amazing. So tell me something, girls. What would you advise other people who would like to start a business like yours, or probably something in that direction? What would you advise them to be aware of before they start the business?
If you have the idea, don't sleep on it. Don't think, oh, I need to research for months, or no, start from somewhere and make little steps. Even if that's just building your Instagram page, starting your engagement, building your followings, starting to build like brand awareness. So it's just to keep moving. Just literally keep moving.
Yeah.
Don't stop. In terms of the food industry, I'd advise them getting their food hygiene level 3 as the business owner, so that they're aware of all the correct food hygiene practices, practicing your recipes, letting people try it. So don't be afraid to put it out to market. Let people try it and give their opinion. You know, your friends and family can be your first customers. What else? Having a small menu. So don't try and be jack of all trades and you want to make this. No, have a speciality. You can always build it up over time. You can always do menu specials, but have a speciality. So whether that's, you know, you do burgers, just do maybe 2 types of burgers or 3 types, perfect it, and then you can expand. Any other tips? And just do things to the best of your ability. Pay attention to detail. It's not a joke. You know, it can change your life if you do it correctly. So that is my advice. Just take the floor.
And I would say that obviously understand what you need to know in order to navigate it properly. And that is a process, but you know, allow yourself to go through that process. And you know, there are things that you will be winging, and there are things that you're gonna naturally have to learn along the way. But there are things that you need to understand in order to be as prepared as you possibly can be. And as Samantha said, with the food industry specifically, things can go wrong very quickly, and you need to be prepared for that. You know, if those instances do come about. So I would say, yeah, educate yourself. That's one of the key things. Know your industry, and also just like perseverance. Like, I feel like we live in an age where the general attitude, I feel like, of this generation, because we have this exposure, like, you know, this popcorn kind of like culture and social media, where we think that everything is like that, and there isn't an actual process and a back end. You know, there are steps that we take daily in order for you to be able to see this what you perceive to be this huge success. And it's also operationally, for a very, very long time, it was just the 2 of us. But the outside perception was like we had this massive machine behind us, which also created a certain level of expectation. But we didn't shy away from that, because there's this expectation and standard that we've naturally set for ourselves. But I would say, don't expect it to be overnight. You really do have to put in the work. Like, because we have, when I say blood, sweat and tears, I mean literally. Yeah, I have scars. Like, I have scars. Like, I've got a huge like, you know, 2nd-degree burns, like 3rd-degree burns, like you know, things that we've had to endure and that we continue to endure to have the success that we have. And I'm not saying that everyone is gonna have 3rd-degree burns, because not everyone works in the kitchen. But I'm just trying to kind of like give you know, a visual kind of like, you know, representation of blood, sweat and tears. That's what it takes.
Yes. So there's no success without obstacles, and the most important thing is to persevere and believe in your dream, right? And actually, by the end of the day, you do reach your dream, isn't it? You achieve your goals. I believe that as well. So do you have anyone you would like to thank?
Anyone I'd want to thank? Probably my eldest brother. because he's definitely been a big support system through my journey. And yeah, he's done a lot for me, so I thank him.
Is this through your hot and juicy, or is it throughout?
Throughout.
I would say that everyone. Like I don't know if I can like point out anyone specifically, but I would say that definitely my family. You know, my family are always, you know, there to support me. And one thing that Samantha, I know you would have been exposed to coming to Tanzania as well, and just meeting my family, is that with me, it's literally taken a village, and everyone has had such like profound like contributions to like who I am. And also in terms of like being patient with me, giving me the space that I need, and even in my absence or in my silences, they're always there when I need them for any kind of like support. So I'm grateful. I'm definitely grateful to have my family as the village that kind of like is my pillars.
Okay, so actually I thank you so much, girls, for coming all the way. I repeat, I said this in the beginning, but I'm repeating it, for coming all the way from London to Copenhagen to come and share your amazing journey, your amazing authentic story with us all and with the rest of the world. Thank you so much, girls, and may God bless you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, love you both.
Love you too.
Yeah.